All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Chris Thorne with HireMilitary. Glad to be with you all again. A little bit different this week as we evolve through some tech issues out there. But as always, it's a pleasure to get to join you on our Thursday afternoons to have conversations with employers, with business leaders, industry, and organizations that are trying to make a difference in your military career, your transition readiness, and career success, and of course, taking care of our military families and spouses out there as well. And so today, I am really, really excited to have somebody that I've had an opportunity to know for a while now, and really get to understand what it is that makes his passion and makes him really go on and take. So Greg Debiase with ServPro, really, it's an honor to have you here with us today. So thanks for taking the time this afternoon.
I appreciate the opportunity, Chris.
It's great. So Greg is with ServPro Industries. He's out of Pendle area, and he helps organizations, companies establish, set up, and function franchises of the ServPro Industries. So if you're not aware, ServPro, more than 1,700 franchises nationwide. They are really a national leader in property remediation after damage, whether that's from storms or natural disaster or floods, whatever it may be. They're an amazing company, and really we're very proud at HireMilitary to have ServPro as a partner for DoDSkillbridge and veteran hiring opportunities. So, Greg, I'm sitting here talking. What everyone really is here, though, to find out about is about you. So could you tell us a little bit about you and some of your background? I'd love to hear it.
I've been helping establish businesses for, over 40 years. Started in the restaurant business long ago, opened over 200 restaurants nationally for the Pizza Hut chain. So I've been involved in hiring, recruiting, and developing people for almost all my career. About 20 years ago, really switched into being a consultant and helping working franchises to develop their business, to grow their business, and to better understand how to make money in their business. The long and short of it is I'm kind of like LeBron James's coach. I make rich people richer and get them to work better. And that's really what we do.
Nice.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. No, please. Keep going.
ServPro is one of the companies that when somebody's in trouble, we just had a hurricane come through our area. Tornado damage to 2 schools in Delaware. And we go running to those disasters to make sure that we could help salvage the building and keep the costs down, really. During a lot of the hurricanes in Houston several years ago, we sent over 300 franchises to help. We did something like 3,000 jobs, going into people's homes, into hospitals, into oil refineries to get these businesses back up and functioning as quickly as possible. It is hard work. It can be very, very satisfying work. We do everything from water remediation, getting rid of floodwaters, fire damage. So if you're in your house one morning, you come back and the house is gone, or has had a serious fire, we go in and we clean up, repair. We do a lot of cleaning up after, unfortunately, shootings and that. Biohazard is something that we get called in quite often by both the police, state police, and troopers, and in a lot of natural areas. Since COVID-19 has put us into these wonderful video chat scenarios, we've been doing a lot of cleanup. We actually have, I think we've done over 40 airport cleanups.
Wow.
Nationally. We have done major contracts. One of the more unique ones is we were requested by the Boston Red Sox to clean Fenway Park.
Oh, what a cool job.
Yeah. So we get into a lot. We've done water remediation in the Pentagon when it's had water and flood damage. Wow. A lot of major stadiums. Bio also doesn't only just come from unfortunate situations. One of the bigger bio jobs we've done in our career is there's an aerospace museum in Alabama, and they actually have a Saturn I rocket. And apparently pigeons loved the inside of the rocket. So we actually had to do a biocontainment and clean out took us like 3 weeks.
Wow.
All the pigeon droppings, because they can be very toxic and dangerous to people.
Absolutely.
So it is a fascinating and interesting business that we are involved in.
I love, and it's incredible in that period of time. You hit on such a diversity of experiences, and the thing that I think I take away from that is working with ServPro. You are there when people are having their lowest, their hardest time, whether that's after storms, hurricanes, floods, whether it's home fire damage, whether it's unfortunate, things when you talk about the bios and dealing with catastrophic events that come along with those. But at ServPro, you are there when people are at their worst to help bring their life back to some sense of normalcy then.
Right. I mean, and we obviously have ties. I mean, last year we sponsored the first ever First Responders Bowl, where we actually, and that's who we work with, first responders. We've done so many school, hospitals. It is amazing the amount of work that we have to get involved in, because who helps a hospital when they have a fire damage? And they can't shut down. So a lot of our work is done at odd hours in very tight circumstances. Nursing homes during the COVID and even before, mold and the effects of it on a senior citizen, and how we have to, really contain it and remove it so it's a safe place to live again. And we train staff to do this all the time. And it's a really rewarding feeling, because when you go into a place like a nursing home or an older home, like just the floods we've had, there are a large number of seniors living in our community who this is a very big effect on. You get water damage in your home and you're in your 90s, you're not running down and grabbing a shop vac and cleaning out the water. So people like us, and the amount of serious damage that can be done, because people don't realize if you get water in your house, if it covers an electrical outlet, the damage and danger it can be. So bringing in professionals is important. With COVID, how we have to prepare going into situations. We just got a call from a manufacturing plant where several people were diagnosed with COVID. Now we have to go in and make sure that we can clean it and sanitize it. I've done quite a few police and fire vehicles, ambulances, because these people deserve to have safety in their lives too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I'm absolutely love you. You're making me want to just change jobs. And I know Mike's on the backside of this listening right now. So Mike, don't listen. I might have to jump to ServPro here. You never know. I mean, I love what you've got going on. And I do want to just acknowledge that in the chat stream that's going on right now, there's some great conversations. Daniel Rosas had actually asked about some of the franchise startup and costs involved. And I definitely want to make sure when we talk about some of those entrepreneur opportunities and the franchising opportunities, we get an opportunity for that. So we'll definitely hit that one. I don't want to let that one go, but I'd like to actually sort of rewind just a little bit and talk about, one of the strengths of that ServPro brand is all those things that you're doing. This is hands-on work. You said it's not easy. We're not talking about white collar office and desk work. And what I love about that is some of the most rewarding work in the world is the blue collar, getting out there and getting your hands into it. So, it is hard work. It's labor work. It's construction. It's project management. It's estimating, and it's working in those physical spaces under interesting conditions. But it also comes with an amazing amount of opportunity. Do you find that veterans are successful in this environment? And is it a match? Is it a fit for veterans to go into this type of environment?
It is, for many reasons. The discipline necessary to do these jobs. Let's talk about a storm situation where we'll send a team out. This is very organized and very methodical work. You have to plan your day, because you're going to storms. You're going to be doing upwards of 5 to 10 jobs a day, where you're going in, working with customers who've had something tragic happen in their lives. Then you have to get it back to normal. You have to get the water out. You have to make sure the water's, again, testing water, because a lot of people don't know that we actually categorize water. One being what we call clean, unaffected water, all the way to 3, which is flood water with anything from needles to chemicals floating in it. So understanding that to make sure it's safe, getting it out, and then helping them get their lives back to normal, drying the building. And there's very, very much of a science involved. Last year in the remediation world, a very historic building was damaged by fire, Notre Dame Cathedral.
Mm.
And it's actually made the history of IICRC, and that's the governing body for international remediation, the IICRC. And they have a set of standards that follow. 40 years ago, restoration was an infant business, and literally we've got the first air movers out, and I will tell you, technology has become wonderful, because the first air movers were probably the size of a truck, and now we've got them down to where we can stack 10 to 20 of them in the back of a van and still have room for other equipment. And we're able to chain them together and use technology in such a wonderful way to dry buildings in 3 to 5 days. But it's like in Notre Dame, how do you remove smoke damage out of 200-year-old cut stone?
Yeah.
Where do you find the wood, and how do you save that wood that's hundreds of years old? And to remove smoke, we actually have technology out there that it's almost like silly putty. You spray it on fire damage, wait till it dries, and peel it off, and watch the damage come with it.
Wow.
We have high-end chemicals, some of which are actually, we have a antimicrobial that you can drink and it won't injure you. We've done it for insurance classes to show these guys that we actually do believe in and work with very safe chemicals. But then again, we have other stuff that's much harsher because the situations we're in. And a large part of it is not only that, but how to keep our employees safe.
So
years ago,
yeah.
DuPont developed a wonderful material called Tyvek. You often see it as wraps in houses. We wear Tyvek. For that matter, during the whole COVID thing, we, like hospitals, were at a struggle to get this material, keep our employees safe. The N95 masks that everybody learned that, we've been using them for 30 years, trying to get them saved. Full face respirators like a fire department, just to make sure our employees are put in the best of situations.
That's, thinking back on it, you mentioned something, and it goes back to a lot of the responses in catastrophe. And, one of the things I love that ServPro does, and you've mentioned, is that contingency response, which I think directly correlates to some military operational planning that people can really relate to. That is, when there's a disaster, whether it's a Hurricane Katrina, whether it's a whatever it may be, ServPro actually will create a command and control center in that disaster location, will call in resources from around the nation, from different franchises, where people will actually load up trucks and deploy to that location, establish a base of life support in that location. So you're running a base camp, and then you're out there actually engaging with these different operations to go out and do it. I mean, that's almost, if I were to think about a contingency military operation, that's almost word for word sort of the way that it happens. And I love that.
And sometimes it's just one job. We did there was a fire in a manufacturing plant up in Michigan, one of the car manufacturing plants. It turned out to be a $46 million job.
Wow.
Where we had over, I'll say, several thousand people involved, because not only do you have the actual mitigation team, you have estimators who have to go in. You have administrative people who have to handle all the paperwork, because we do work in that size of a job in what we call time and material. You have project managers who have to delegate work, who have to understand how that work pattern is going to flow. Because in a fire, you also have water damage, from the hoses. You now have to clean that up. If water's left too long, you can get mold and the byproducts of mold. So you have to have product managers who understand what steps to take, what comes first in the mitigation process, getting rid of the water, making sure that the electrical works, if electrical doesn't work. And when you get in a building that size, we have dehumidification equipment that's trailer size, tractor trailer flatbed sized, with its own generators to produce electricity. So now you're coordinating, bringing that equipment in, bringing in teams to work with it, bringing in fuel for the generators, wiring, cabling, spider boxes, so all this massive amount of equipment. And that doesn't exclude the personal protective equipment, which when you're using it, you change it 4 times a day. So there's the supply chain that's necessary to keep this going.
Yeah.
And just bringing in something as simple as enough porta potties and food and water to
Logistics.
handle. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not a simple, easy process.
I mean, that's almost a military operation you're talking about, with the full diversity of things
Right.
that are out there. And so, that's probably a great point to really break into the segue. There are tons of different roles. When we talk about employment opportunities, when we talk about DoDSkillbridge, and even when we talk about things like franchise ownership and entrepreneurship, at ServPro, we're not just talking about somebody in a Tyvek suit and a mask going in, putting a fan in a place and sucking water out. I mean, there's an incredible diversity of professional level skills, whether you're talking about the safety professionals, whether you're talking about the estimators, project managers, communications, administrative, all those things, transportation and logistics that come into it. There's a huge diversity of opportunities. And so let's talk about DoDSkillbridge opportunities to make that happen, and the service members. Now, right now,
one of the first places that you've placed a person is in my Warren, Ohio office.
Yes.
They are 11 licenses. They have positions that go from warehouse manager to inventory control and supply to production manager. They have over 40 vehicles. They have their own dry cleaning system.
Wow.
They have a janitorial staff because they also do quite a bit of cleaning. For that matter, they assisted us in cleaning carpets at the Boeing plant in Philadelphia that produces the Osprey, is it?
The Osprey, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the Chinook and Osprey plant up there in Philadelphia.
Right. And so we were able to clean 40,000 square foot of carpeting. Now, that is not done with a hand shampoo, or for that matter, we actually have riding carpet cleaning machines.
Like a riding mower, but for carpet cleaning?
Yes, it's a little bigger actually, because of the amount of water you have to put in and out.
Wow.
So there are so many positions. And don't forget marketing and sales.
Yeah.
Training and development.
And in so many locations. I mean, right now we've got ServPros in New York, Pennsylvania, Maryland, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Texas, Florida, Ohio. I'm trying to remember, but there's these opportunities with these great companies in so many places where our service members want to be, putting them back home or putting them in those locations where they want to live after they leave the service. So the opportunities are waiting for them.
Right. And for as funny as this sounds, and all the unemployment we talk about in this country today, of over 40 million people, I think is the last number, lost their jobs, we haven't slowed down. We need employees today. I've worked with quite a few military programs. One is a temp program through the VA hospital that provides it, the CWT program.
Mm-hmm.
And a wonderful woman out of Washington named Donna Tasker's got me hooked up with quite a few people. We love the discipline of veterans. We actually just hired a veteran as an office administrator in Northeast Chester County. We are looking for people who can scope and estimate jobs, which is, again, a lot of technology on iPads and tablets and CAD-like programs where you're designing rooms and estimating prices based off of the material used. Marketing. where you're developing disaster plans for people, what we call a ERP. It's an emergency response plan. And why do you develop these with? It's amazing what people don't know about their business. True story. We actually had a gentleman in Oklahoma who was making prank calls to hotels, saying that he worked for the Department of Water, and he wanted the employee on the counter to stand on the counter and hit the water sprinkler head with their shoe. Well, after 20 calls, he actually got call number 21 to stand on the counter and smack the water. A sprinkler head puts out 500 gallons of water a minute.
Oh, my.
And do you know how many people in that building don't know where the shutoff is? And it's not a water shutoff. It's a water sprinkler shutoff.
Yeah.
So the ERP teaches basic facilities like that. And for as funny as that story is, in that same Oklahoma, a Cat 5 hurricane hit, or tornado hit. Mm-hmm. And the school district's emergency plan had the students go downstairs. The sprinkler heads went off. And they could not get the children out. Over 20 children perished because they didn't know where the shutoffs were. So, this is a serious business, and we walk in times, and part of our job is helping people understand their business and how to save themselves from multi-million dollars of damage. Because, you put a teenager in a forklift with a sprinkler system in a building, damage can be done fairly quickly. And when you have machinery that's worth millions of dollars, getting that shut off quickly, how do you repair it? We will go into doctors' offices where very important records are kept. The Pentagon, how many historical documents are stored in that building? What happens if they get water soaked? We have a process where we can freeze that document, remove the water without ever turning it back into a liquid.
Which is cool.
Yes.
Which is cool.
It is a very huge. So understanding all the abilities we have, when you go into a location and move an army into that location, you build a small town. So these people involved in the Navy and the Army have plumbing skills, electrical skills, all skills that, you actually have people that estimate. You have people that are communication specialists, which we can use because we deal with insurance adjusters all the time, and, communication and building building personal,
branded
relationships.
Right?
And that's all very critical to what we do.
That's awesome, and I love it. And Daniel Rosas, I'm going to actually bring him up again in the conversation, because in the chat, Daniel was mentioning that he had wanted to participate in a SkillBridge opportunity during his transition, but based on what he was looking at the time, he wasn't able to participate because he didn't have the degree that was required for that specific program to participate in. And so, one thing to me that's really, really attractive about ServPro, of course, you're, as an employer, you're still going to have requirements for any job position to be able to meet it.
Right.
But you're not, let's face it, this is a great opportunity for somebody. You don't have to have your bachelor's in business or your master's in business. Yeah. You don't have to have a PhD, Scientology, whatever. We don't need, well, although you might have some cybersecurity roles, but this is an opportunity for people to go out and make a great living in the locations they want to be without having to try and be something, with that high, a big, huge degree, without all kinds of background. This is an opportunity for them to use DoDSkillbridge to get their life kick-started on their way out of the military in some really great roles and opportunities.
And in addition to it, I can think of in my territory 3 owners who are ex-military. One was a Scott Westcote up in the Poconos, was a Marine, and he worked with, he actually used to transport prisoners to court hearings and that for the Marines.
Yeah.
Bill Kelly was in the service, and Sean, who I've worked with in Pennsylvania for HireMilitary, his wife is an admin for Bill. Bill was a union electrician when he bought his business. Quite a few of our franchises have started who had no real background. Mike May, I jokingly say, started 20 years ago in college sucking water while going to Westchester. And his boss, when he graduated, said, "Why don't you just buy one?" Mike today has been doing this for over 20 years, has a wonderful quality of life, and runs one of the best operations. We're looking for people who do financials. A large part of what we do is managing a business. So we have a whole administrative staff that handles hiring, paperwork, financials, bill paying, bill collecting. For as much as I like to say people who get insurance money for jobs we do are willing to turn it over for the good work, now, unfortunately, sometimes we have to get a little bit assertive in getting our money.
It can happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
But, again, it's a great opportunity because a lot of our franchises started off with one young man who was a storm team coordinator who's now looking to buy a first and second franchise license.
Nice. That was actually something I got to say. You and I, we met when we were in Carolina as well as in Pennsylvania, talking with a bunch of the owners, and I was amazed at how young some of these licensed franchise owners were. Oh my goodness! I was amazed at how young some of these men and women were. But they're entrepreneur business owners who have amazing businesses, and as they filled me in on, it's actually kind of a high-tech game to own one of these businesses now, right. Dealing with the business side, dealing with the finances side, dealing with all this. So lots of great opportunity for, if I'm talking about the different elements, if I'm a 24-year-old man or woman who's done 4 or 5 years in the military and I want to come out and give myself that next leap into success in life, ServPro can be the way to. If I'm that 10-year E7 or O3 who's looking to get into project management and estimating at a professional level, the ServPro opportunity is going to take you down that road. And then all of these are great opportunities to lead into those things if you want to go there, like entrepreneurship and owning your own business and being in charge of your own processes. That's a life success story to me, to go down that path.
And it's just, if you're just even good with relationship building, some of our marketers make phenomenal money because they get a percentage of the jobs that they sell. We do, unfortunately, we have to sometimes chase jobs because we'll go to a business that's had a fire and they don't know who to call because they don't have the relationship. And we have to talk them through what's happening and the process that we're involved in. So it's not as simple. It's not just simply that people come to us with work. I mean, we sometimes have to go out and help people understand what we're capable of doing. And like any business, there's some competitive nature to it.
Sure.
And we really try and get people in here who understand that our job is to help. We don't want to be we don't want to be ambulance chasers. Yeah. Okay. And there are some folks out there who truly love, to your point, the production side. They love to get in their hands dirty, they love jumping in. And when you're involved with all the machinery, and the technology, we now have a system and an app that if you take a picture of a house, it will lay out the full dimensions, the roof angles, everything off of a basic picture.
That's cool.
Yes. Technology and as I get older, it just is both amazing and petrifying. But
yeah. Well, and even, honestly, even up to, I think one of the owners was telling me that they're playing around with using drones for overhead surveying for damage and things like that.
Oh, yes. The insurance company started that years ago, and that photo op, which we call the app Hover. But it also, it hovers over, it takes photos, and it designs the whole roof. And it allows them to do square footage so we can get time and materials and all that. And you know, and if you have folks who are great with communication, building a marketing relationship, getting on site, getting in and helping a customer, building our websites to let folks know what we do. We live in a higher technology world, and this world enables us to grow and do things that other people oftentimes don't assume a restoration company is going to do.
Yeah.
You know, you
I mean, I apologize. I don't mean to cut you off. I'm thinking, for everyone who's watching right now, maybe watching later, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube, by the way, if you are, you need to come on over to LinkedIn and let's chat. But
yeah.
To every transitioning service member of almost every service, every grade, every rank, every background and experience, what I'm hearing is an opportunity with ServPro to be successful out there. And you're a partner for DoDSkillbridge, which means you can do it through SkillBridge and do it now.
Yes.
I mean, there's opportunity for everyone in this.
I think that oftentimes people forget that to run a business, it's like you taught me in the service. I didn't realize till I met you that only about 10% of people actually are frontline active. It's the other components of the business that we miss. And with us, it's the same factor. Somebody has to take the phone call. Somebody has to do the insurance work. Somebody has to, do the billing and processing. Somebody has to go out and meet with the clients and do the assessment. When you get into larger jobs, somebody has to coordinate all the meetings. Somebody has to manage, who has to control and send out the troops to do the jobs and assign the work, and then to make sure that the work is done correctly to the customer's liking. So when you get into a large job, it is all the skills that you see in the military become so useful to us. And it's the simple things that we love about the military: the correct way to wear a uniform, the proper way to talk to somebody, the respect shown when you walk in somebody's house.
Yeah.
The most horrific story I tell when I do CE classes is that sometimes when we work with young adults, they don't understand the delicacy of walking into somebody's home who's had a loss, especially when the loss comes from a self-inflicted wound.
Yeah.
And the trauma that family is going through. And we've actually had to, unfortunately, let people go because they think it's a wonderful time for a selfie to put on Facebook. And for as horrific as that sounds, there's not that understanding of what they're walking into.
Yeah.
And how what they do can affect the family. So we love the discipline, the understanding, the compassion, and the awareness that the military people bring to our business.
Wow. That's a powerful one right there. It's those are the moments you just don't really think of when you're not part of that business.
Well, we are not psychologists, we are not doctors, but we have to have such a human touch when we work with people. We have to have a sense of urgency. When dealing with a commercial loss in, say, a grocery store, they have a fire. They've gotten damage from several ends. They've gotten the immediate fire damage. They've gotten the loss of revenue and income, and they have the potential loss of more product because refrigerated product has only a 4-hour shelf life before it has to be refrigerated. You have no power. How are we getting it there?
Yeah.
And a typical grocery store is going to carry anywhere from $250,000 to $500,000 in frozen and refrigerated product that we have to secure for them. And yeah,
so you're saving. I mean, you're not just remediating after damage. You're actually saving them from further loss by getting in, being effective, by being efficient, and knowing how to do that job. Then.
Yes.
Wow, that's so. I want to keep you on here all day, but I know we can't do that. But I want to make sure that we hit just a couple of items here.
Go ahead.
SkillBridge. First of all, I want to emphasize for everyone who's watching out there, ServPro is probably, I'll say it again, it's DoDSkillbridge for everyone. If you are out there and you are thinking about your next step, there's an opportunity with ServPro for DoDSkillbridge, and HireMilitary we're here and happy to help and make that happen for you. So reach out, let's connect. But there's some other things that we talked about, and there's some interest in the chat on that potential for entrepreneurship and franchise ownership. So I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole, but what does that look like for somebody who maybe is thinking about going straight down that path of franchise ownership and entrepreneurship? What does that look like?
There are some very good opportunities out there. For a new license price, just to buy the license, is about $60,000 right now.
Mm-hmm.
With the equipment package is about, probably you're talking about 160, 100, if that's a new license. Again, that's not always going to be, it could be in Shippensburg, Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
But there's opportunities. And our parent company is a company called Blackstone,
mm-hmm.
one of the biggest multi-investment companies in the world. And they have challenged us to bring in veterans. Their target this year is to bring in over 10,000 people to the Blackstone family that are veterans.
I love that.
And so, but in ownership, it is really investigate us. One of the things I, as a business consultant, have to tell people all the time is know what you're getting into. If you get into us as an entrepreneur in a new license, you're going to wear so many hats at one time. You're going to have to understand how to do QuickBooks and the financials for your business. You're going to have to understand how to collect. You're going to have to understand how to sell. And when you're very tired at 2 a.m, you're going to get a call to jump on a truck and go out to somebody's house because their water heater broke and you have to clean the water up and make sure the building's secure. During the unfortunate situation occurred after the death of George Floyd, we were out boarding up businesses to protect and secure them. We were going out to businesses to protect and stop the damage that had occurred. So you're going to get calls at all hours of the day and night. Our business model trains you on how to run a small business, but you have to be willing to wear multiple hats. You have to learn how to hire, train, and develop your people. And the most important piece, how to retain them and keep them working for you for a long time. That's the true leadership skills that a military person brings in.
Yeah. So,
go ahead.
So if I'm a veteran or a transitioning service member who wants to go that path, I mentioned DoDSkillbridge. Hey, let's HireMilitary. Contact us. We'll guide you. But if I want to go that path of entrepreneurship, franchise ownership, and buying that license, how do I go about? Who do I contact? Do I get in touch with you, or who do I reach out to?
The best thing to do is get to our website on just look up ServPro, and it will talk to you about different opportunities. We have now started. We actually have opened quite a few franchises in Canada in that. Again, it depends on the kind of license. Now, if you're buying an existing license, you're actually buying an existing business from somebody, that's going to be a little bit more, you're buying a real business. It's open with employees. So there's going to be a little bit more of a financial commitment. And, that I can't speak to what somebody's selling a license for or a business, but you can. But if you get a hold of ServPro Corporate out of Gallatin, Tennessee, they will put you in touch with a whole department that helps you research where and how to get an SBA loan. And again, I don't know if there are special military loans for first-time business owners, but I'm sure they're there to assist.
I bet you there might be some programs, even if they're not run by ServPro. I know there are some developmental and entrepreneurial programs for veterans that probably would help.
And the nice thing is getting a hold of local franchises. If you know somebody in a local ServPro, even if you don't, call them, ask to talk to the owner. These are people who started businesses from scratch. some who were working in the world as a banker, as a, you pick it. We've had all kind of people, kids right out of college. Semi-professional golf guy. We have one, Marty McSorley, who's an investor in one of our Pittsburgh franchises. He's a hockey guy. He played hockey, I think, for the Rangers.
Wow.
It's been a while. So there are a lot of different people from different walks of life who've gotten in.
I love it. Love it. Well, Greg, I appreciate so much you taking the time to come and have this conversation today. I really am hoping those who have been watching and chatting with us live, those who are going to watch it down the road and share, I'm really hoping that they will put some thought into that idea and reach out for a SkillBridge internship or an opportunity as a veteran employee with ServPro, because like you mentioned, Blackstone through ServPro is looking for 10,000 veterans this year, did you say?
Yes.
That's a massive number. And you know what? We'd love to see if we can help pipeline the entire element of that just through SkillBridge. So if you're out there, let's help you get in there. If you want to be a DoD SkillBridge intern at a ServPro that is not currently on the list, then talk with us and we'll work with the ServPro Industries to see if we can get that location on the list for you. And we'll work that process, because we want to make sure there's opportunities nationwide for you from coast to coast, north to south. Let's make that one happen. So.
And just to close, two quick things.
Yes.
Right now, I could probably place at least 100 people between the Carolinas, Pennsylvania, Delaware, and Jersey. And if they do have additional questions, if they get any information to you about buying, you send me an email. We'll get them in touch with the correct people.
We will make sure we do that. And you all heard what he just said, 100 to 200 jobs waiting right now. So anybody who says, I can't find a job in this environment, I want you to rewind and replay that. 100 to 200 jobs waiting to happen right now. So, well, Greg, I really appreciate what you've done. I really appreciate what ServPro has done to support our veterans, transitioning service members, and our military families. I really appreciate the partnership with HireMilitary, and thank you so much for coming and spending the time here today with us.
Not a problem.
Such a pleasure. And for all of you out there, thanks for joining us. Look forward to seeing you. We're here on Thursday afternoons, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, to talk about your career transition, set you up for success in your post-military careers. So thank you all for joining us. I look forward to seeing you again really soon. Have a great day and stay safe, everyone.
Thank you for having me.